Well, good afternoon, and welcome to the Veterans Forum. My name is Bob Stevens, and I have the honor of producing this show with the help of the people here at Bedford Community Access Television. This show is being done in cooperation with the Library of Congress's Veteran History Project. Now, for those of you who may not know about that, a couple of quick thoughts. We've been asking each and every veteran, guy and gal, who served in any war, anywhere, and if they can and will, share that service experience with us, and it'll all be filed in one database in the Library of Congress so that the history that's being made or was made by these guys and gals will be properly recorded, and there's no shaving, if you will, some of the information. Any guy from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, you name it, and the gals. And it sounds strange, but one of the biggest problems I've been facing is trying to get the gals who did that service to come and talk. Imagine a guy asking a woman to talk. But that's the name of the game. To give you kind of a feel, we'll try to break it down, if you will. The history we're trying to develop is a great big puzzle. And each one of us is a piece of that puzzle. And the more people that can come and tell their story, fill in that picture, the better the story will be. We have another fellow today who's going to join us. Joe has some very interesting situations I think we'll discover in a few minutes. We'll get started, and I'll ask him, if I will, introduce yourself. Tell us your full, no, wait a minute. Just tell us your full name, spell your last name for the camera, and then go.
My name is Joseph McBreen. That's spelled capital M-C, capital B-R-E-E-N. I am a veteran of World War II, which I'm very proud of. And my whole story starts off back in Concord, Massachusetts, as I was drafted out of high school.
Okay, can we stop just right there?
Okay.
Tell us your branch of service and your dates of service and where you now live, remember?
Oh my gosh, now.
Yeah.
My branch of service was the Army. I figured that was better. So the Army, and I was in service from the July 15th, 1943. I was in the class of 43 in the high school. And I got out the 2nd of January 1946. Then after that, of course, I had more service by joining the National Guard.
Okay, we'll get to that. But where do you now live? Okay. Where do you currently live? What's your home address and that?
My home address at that time.
No, right now. Where do you live now?
Oh, I live in Merrimack, New Hampshire, in 10 Wren Court, and it's a retirement community for old folks. And
well, how did you get in if it's for old folks?
I got there because my daughter, who lives here in Merrimack, she's married to a Merrimack citizen, and he brought her up here, and she brought my wife and I up here, and we are very happy, and
well, you're living a good life now.
Oh, I'm living a great life.
Okay.
I can't get around as quick as I used to. I played racquetball right up until I was 85, and I quit. But outside of that, I do get around, but it's very difficult.
But no more chasing the gals, okay? Now that we know who you are and where you are now, I'd like to go back and find out how do you get started. Where were you born, when, and how was it growing up with your family life before service?
Now, I was born February 16th, 1925, into a family, a very large family. My mother and father were both immigrants from Ireland, and there was 8 children. We had 8 children, and I was right in the middle, 4 boys and 4 girls. Now,
what town were you born in? Where? What state?
In Concord, Massachusetts.
Oh, you got to tell them. We don't know.
Sorry.
Okay.
In Concord, Massachusetts, and of course, I lived there until I went in the service, and then when I got married, I moved to Acton, Massachusetts, and I lived 50 years in Acton before my daughter brought me, and I raised my family there.
Now, how was your family life, though, growing up as far as brothers and sisters? How was it back in those days, going through the Depression?
Well, I based my whole thing on my brother Tom, who was the nearest to me. He was the one I learned everything from. I learned everything from him, and he was my best friend. He passed away, and very sad. But anyway, like I say, I was drafted out of high school.
Okay, out of high school, or you didn't finish high school?
Oh, I turned 18 in February of 1943, and at that time they were drafting 18 years old. So they said I was allowed to stay in school until graduation,
Good.
Which my mother insisted upon because she had already lost 2 sons to the service.
Oh.
My oldest brother, he was in the Navy on anyway, my second was Tom. He was in the Air Corps, and then I came along, and I picked the Army. Just said, do it with you what you will, and by it I certainly lucked out because I ended up. Do I go on with the story now? If you want the story,
no, I'd like to take a few minutes. So, where did you enter the Army? And
I entered the Army.
And what was your first couple of days in boot camp?
Well, I entered the Army at Fort Devens, Massachusetts. And
anything special stick out, like funny things or sad things or amazing things?
Oh,
just one of them.
It was so quick. It was. Yeah. I entered the Army, and everything moved very fast. I went to basic training in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, as a combat engineers out training, and.
Was that boot camp or after you got to
well,
boot camp?
Well, you might call it in the Navy. You might call it boot camp.
Introduction, whatever.
Yes, sir. But it was tough. But I was very, very apt. There was no problem with me because I'm an athlete all the way, and out of high school, and so it had no problems. But I did. Interesting thing was, when I was drafted, they were just starting to pick men 30 years old and married and with no children, and they started to pick them and putting them. So we were in sort of my basic training outfit was made out of 30 guys, 35 years old, who I thought were ancient, and those of us in the 18 years when, and I had a lot of my buddies with, but I then, after basic training, I went to a special school. I went down to auto mechanics, and that's how I was supposed to be in the short time they give you to learn something. I was supposed to be a mechanic, and that's what
did you pick that, or did they tell you that's what they wanted?
What's that?
Did you pick that, or did they tell you? Do you have any choice?
I told them, I said I wanted the armored force. I just kind of thought I'd kind of like tanks.
Okay.
And I got interested.
Okay.
But I ended up in the engineers, which went right along me. I'm very interested in trucks, and that was the thing to me. I thought, boy.
Okay. I like, just a second. This is the guy that we're talking about, folks, way back when. Can you identify who this is and tell us about it quickly? That was a picture. I came home for a short time. This is while I was in my, that was after a basic training. That was, okay, just wanted to set the stage.
Yeah. And then you go on from basic, you go to special school, and just about the same in every service, I would say. And I particularly took a course at Atlanta, Georgia, in the Atlanta Ordnance Base as a mechanic. Then
an automobile mechanic or an explosive mechanic?
Automobile. It's supposed
to
be trucks.
I got to find where we're going.
Trucks. It was mostly with trucks, all engine equipment. But then I entered the Army replacement system, the repo. They call it the
Repo
repo.
depot.
Yeah, and I became just another thing. And then things were getting kind of. I was shipped out to California, and then all of a sudden we came all the way back across the country, and I ended up in New York on the Queen Elizabeth, which is that time was the biggest ship in the world, with 15,000 of us on that ship.
You mean you didn't have your own stateroom?
Ha! No stateroom. I was 6 feet. There was rows of bunks.
I know, 6
and
high.
I always did this. I learned it very quickly.
Top
you take
bunk.
the top upper. You take the upper because we had a few accidents, and I made it to. I used to go up on deck every day, and I made it to England. It took us 4 days to get to England. Now, 5 days. I'm sorry.
Now, was that in convoy or because of its speed?
No.
They were
the
by
Queen
itself.
Elizabeth zigzagged.
Yeah.
Queen Mary, which my brother was on just before me, I think he was at Camp Shanks in New York at the same time I was, but we were shipped out of Camp Shanks, New York, and took the Hoboken ferry across, and when I saw that Queen Elizabeth, I was awed. This opening, all these things that happened, opened a new life. I never thought, but I wanted, and in my life, I wanted to get in this war. I wanted to be a veteran. I knew what, when I was a kid, my uncle was
World War
One. We had his trunk, and we used to go through his stuff all the time. So anyway, he left it at my mother's. She was the one that brought him over from Ireland. And as I say, I'm getting carried away now. Oh yeah, I got to England, or I got to Greenock, Scotland, in the Firth of Clyde, and I went on by rail. They sent us to a Repo depot in England, and from that I have no idea how all of a sudden I was shipped in a group to London, and I was quizzed about what I thought about mines and stuff like that, and had no idea. I'd seen them in basic training. I knew a little bit, but I ended up as the mechanic, supposedly the mechanic. I ended up as a Jeep driver in this unit.
Beast walking.
And this intelligence unit. And we went to school in London, and we learned about enemy equipment, stuff that was set up from Africa.
What do you mean enemy equipment? What, armament, bombs, disposal stuff?
Mostly mines.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to find out. Yeah.
And that was our business.
Okay.
We were 90% of it. But what I'm saying, we came in England. We went to school in London, and I can tell you, I saw the first buzz bomb that came over London. And if you recall, the buzz bomb was a pilotless bomb that the Germans sent over there. I was in one of the last air raids they actually had on London. First day I was in London, I had to go to the bomb shelter. But then we went to school, and of course, this is in April. So, June was the D-Day. Yeah. We knew that we knew the day was coming, and we knew we were going to be part of it. And we ended up after we finished, never really finished school. We had enough. We were shipped out to our different units that we were going to accompany going. And I happened to be on the one going to Third Army. Third Army was they brought General Patton up very secretly. They brought General Patton up from Italy, and he was going to be he was the commander of Third Army, his beloved Third Army. And by the way, I just finished his book, so I know all about him.
Well, you're with him.
Okay. So then Well, like we about a month after D-Day, it was probably around the 4th of July in 1944.
That hasn't changed.
I went to Normandy, and at that time it was still a bridge. It was just a beach head. It was we were into hedgerow country in Normandy, and there was an awful lot of troops in that little section where we were sent, and we happened to be part of the breakout, and then we tried. Then our whole thing was with Third Army was we exploded across the France, and we reached the Saar River, and that was a long
haul
trip. And all we did is try to find the headquarters all the time. Every time we got to the headquarters, it had already moved, so we had to move. So we were quit.
I want to show just for,
okay, that was taken in Nancy, France.
This was just before we went into the Bulge, right?
Oh, that's before the Bulge. That's before, because we moved to Luxembourg at the Bulge.
Okay. Little pictures, but he gets older. He's only, what, 21, 22 at the moment?
No, at that time, 44. Well, wait a minute. You got to
do the math. 44, 25, about 19.
That was in 44, so that was the end of 44. So.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about catching up. Now, how did you have to leapfrog these guys, or are you just trailing after them? So if you're doing mine disposal work, you had to be out in front.
We tried like heck to keep up with and find our assignments, because they always had jobs for us to go to, this. But when things got slowed down a little bit, which they did just before the Battle of Bulge, when things slowed down enough, we had more chance to. All we were doing is looking for stuff at that time. But when we got there, we had to do an awful lot of teaching. You go
to warn the troops what to do.
Yeah, tell them what to do when they got a hold of these mines.
Yeah, don't play with them.
Don't play. Well,
sit and
I
call
can
us.
show you it's a situation where the mine, they armored the mine. They put the igniter in it, and when they put the top on the mine, it sheared a little pin. So when you took the top off to get that thing off, oh, you were gone. You were somewhere. But that was when we started to explain to these troops, don't touch them anymore. And before that, we tell them how to do it, how you go, you make sure there's no tripwires and this. And
that was an invitation to gloom, because a lot of guys didn't pay any attention.
Huh?
A lot of the guys.
But I'm telling you, the ones that the were most interested ones I ever saw was an outfit in Luxembourg that had just retreated at the time, and they were kind of shot up, and we went to them to explain to them about mines. They, to me, were the most interested. They had the most questions.
Okay. Did you answer the questions?
Well, yes, indeed. And it was, we made what we did. We had done it all the way. Usually, made up kits that we could give. Say the 655th Engineer Combat Battalion needed some training mines. We'd give them a whole set of everything the Germans had, but we were always looking for new stuff. And like I say, we found that igniter. My team actually found the first. We knew about it, and I don't know how we did it. We found out about this thing through a PW.
Okay.
We had a German interpreter, and what he would do, we knew they had some German engineers, troops, and just talk to them. Okay, hey, give us some information. What kind of mines do you use and stuff? And his favorite trick to get these people to talk was that we're going to give them to the Russians the prisoners. We were shipping the prisoners.
Oh, if they don't
we
tell you.
certain prisoners to
That's
the
not
Russians.
coercion.
And by golly, that guy would open up. He would tell us what we wanted to find out. And we found out about this. That's how we found out about this particular igniter that caused the mine to explode when you try to deactivate it. And many a time I deactivated mines from Normandy on. I had a chance to do that.
Well, did you have to go out, I'll say not on patrol, but in advance of a group going forward with metal detectors, mine detectors, or is that, how did you work? Just give us a clue.
The first thing we did, like you talk about mine detectors, I can show you a picture. I have a German mine detector. I used a Wien 41, which was a German mine detector. We were never issued high mine detectors.
Well, you got
we looked for them, and if someone had something, then they called us. We'd go up and look at it. And I have pictures where we were called to a certain place, and say these guys didn't know they want to know. We had one place, everything was blowing up. What it was time bombs they had left, and so we went there looking for them. That wasn't a very nice night, I tell you.
Would you want to share it with us?
No, I never saw Sherbrooke. Sherbrooke was
No, I didn't say share, but I said, would you like to share that experience with us, what you did and how you did it?
Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you, we drove down through this town that was supposed to be blowing up, and we knew that there was such a thing as a J Fader, which was a little clock arrangement that the Germans had.
Like a time bomb?
Had a time bomb. And we were looking for them or some kind of evidence. And I'm telling you, the night got so bad, and I had to drive in the Jeep, no lights.
Just the half lights, not even no light?
No, we never used lights. We had what they called cat's eyes.
Yeah.
But when you got back to a certain area, say you were going back to Paris, which I did get a chance to go back to Paris, and but you could turn on your lights at a certain area. But oh yeah, there was another one. I can tell you an interesting story I have of one mine. We found one time these huge naval mines that they had put them in a road, set them up in an intersection, an important intersection. They didn't go off, and we dug them up. But we dug up one, and we took the igniter out of it. But nobody knew a thing about this igniter. So we didn't contact the Navy or something, but we just had it set aside. So being very inquisitive, which I was.
Nosy is a good word.
Oh, I did a lot of dumb things, but I was young, and I had a lot of fun, and a lot of fun sometimes. But one thing that intrigued me, like everything else, you got to find out how it worked. So I decided one day and this was in Germany, I took that igniter, which we had hanging around with our stuff. I took that thing and I started to take it apart, and I heard this little buzzing noise. I threw the thing out the door, and you should have heard the big bang. That was the initial charge. You have a primer charge. In any kind of mine had a primer charge. You had an igniter, the primer went, and then
everything
boom,
went with it.
Everything else went. Well, anyway, this particular thing went up the door. Well, they came down the doggone stairs, and they said, "Junior finally got it." They thought I'd blown myself up. But I'm sitting there.
Doesn't everybody, Oh,
yeah, but we never did learn anything more. But yeah, I got away with that one. Junior. By the way, Junior was what they call me in my unit, because the ones in my unit was made up of 3 officers and 5 enlisted men. That was our whole unit. And this was a research unit with 3rd Army headquarters. And we worked out of the engineer section of 3rd Army and of the headquarters. So, but we traveled all the time. We were always visiting different units and doing what we could, you know, instructing them, picking up mines and making up packets that we used to give them. And like one time I took they told me to get rid of all, a whole bunch, so much stuff collected, you got to get rid of it. So I loaded all this stuff, a bunch of telemines and all kinds of stuff on my Jeep, took it out to a French dump, and we threw all the stuff out there. So I took a hand grenade, and we got in the Jeep, and I threw the hand grenade, and holy God, I think that big clumps of dirt come down all around.
You didn't get wet?
Huh?
Didn't you get away in time?
No, we got away, but it blew enough up in the air that it blew stuff all the way out. But that, like I say, I was noted for doing things like that. So, but as I tried to say to you, these fellows were all older than me. The youngest one was 28 years old, and I was 19. Well, I was 19 when I joined them, and they were 35, 37. Had one guy in my unit that was worked for Warner Brothers in Hollywood, and he used to make models. And when he came overseas, he beat me overseas, but he was in a unit that used to making mock-ups.
Okay, for the demonstration
But then he
kits.
ended up in our unit as like, well, like you might say a first sergeant or something like that.
Okay.
But he was but he later got himself a battlefield commission. So
Oh, that's not too shabby.
But we had some interesting people. But like I say, I was junior. And
Now you're senior.
huh?
Now you're
Oh
senior.
God! Now I'm a real senior.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Oh, continue. Well, then as time went on, there was a time when the war ended. We got to Germany, and it was very interesting. I loved Germany, but my last trip, I never went back to Germany. We were in Bad Tölz, Germany. That's where the Third Army ended, and we ended up down there. In fact, we had ourselves we always lived separately when in Germany, so that's another story. But anyway, I had a chance to bring the help with a truck. We drove the truck back, our truck, loaded with equipment and stuff. And we had a trailer, German trailer, full 4-wheel trailer, which we towed. And I never got that truck into 5th gear. I mean,
That heavy?
never. Not with that load that we were carrying. We had big signs on the front of our truck saying "Danger, Explosives." I have pictures in there of it. And it was a nice trip. But it took us, we had stops all the way, but we ended up in Paris, and we everything was shipped back to Paris. I never did get back. I liked Germany. I got back after the war, though. I went back.
Okay.
Oh yes, I had a chance to go back and visit a lot of places. When I went back to Bad Tölz and told the young sergeant that was let me through the gate, and I was with my son-in-law and my daughter and kids, and we went there, and I asked if I could go in and look at the concern, and I says I was here during the war, and he, okay,
Yes, sir.
Oh, I got a salute and everything. Oh, yeah. So I went in and I showed where we stayed. And And it's interesting to go back to see.
Oh,
that.
yeah. Under
But
completely
I can
different
tell you,
circumstances.
I got to tell you this story, though,
Go ahead.
about when I went back. Now, my daughter was over in England. My oldest daughter was over in England.
Is she living over there?
No, no, no. What happened was her husband was given, the company he was working for gave them a car and a house in England so that he didn't have to keep on flying back and forth to visit the various places that they went to in Europe. And he went over particularly to train a guy from Britain to do that job, so we would be hired by them. But anyway, so my daughter, and she had 3 kiddos at the time, my baby, 2 years old, and 3, that would make, the next one would be 5, and the other one would be 8. So the 8-year-old remembers the trip to it, but
It must have been fun.
the 5-year-old, 4 to 5-year-old, he don't remember. He does not remember any. But I can tell you a good story.
Did you meet any of the people when you were going through there in the war?
During the war, things were altogether different. But it was something to go back and see. They asked me if I'd like to go back to Normandy. I had no reason to go back to Normandy. I've been there, but where I wanted, my only place that I asked to they were going to Europe, and so my wife and I went over and went to Europe with them. Went across the Channel and started out in Belgium, and we went proceeded and they asked if I were any particular place I wanted to see, and I said, well, I want to see Luxembourg, because I love the city. I was there during the Battle of the Bulge. We moved. Patton's army made a complete turn. Mm-hmm. If you'll know your history, yeah. He made a complete turn, and we rescued them in Bastogne. And anyway, we moved. Our headquarters at the time was in Nancy, France, and we moved up. We were on an offensive at the Saar, and we had to turn and go up and help break up the Bulge. But our headquarters moved to Luxembourg, so I said I wanted to go back to Luxembourg because I really liked the city, and so we went back.
How long a time did you have? A couple of days, a week?
Well, we had. Oh yeah, you mean for the
to the visit?
No, the visit. Oh yeah, 2 weeks.
No,
we took 2 weeks, and so we're going to stay in there. So anyway, when I went to Luxembourg, I said, Joe Patton was buried at Ham, Luxembourg. It's an American cemetery, and thousands, I have a whole story of the whole thing in here, cemetery. It's in Ham, Luxembourg, and he's buried with his men. That was his
desire.
As you probably remember, he was killed he died from an automobile crash.
Yeah.
He was very disappointed man at that time, very broken. He was broken because he lost his Third Army in Germany. Anyway, we went there.
Good booze.
We went. My son-in-law had a video camera, and we took the 2 little boys, and we went to the cemetery. Took pictures when I had pictures taken at Patton's grave and everything, and the kids were walking down through the cemetery, and the little guy says to me, Grant, he says, how come those graves got crosses and those graves got stars?
Yeah.
And I says, well, I tell you, and there was some ladies there listening to me. I said, I tell you, the stars are people, and the Jewish people, and the cross is for Christians as ourselves. And I said, we all believe in God. I said, and he says, how come? The difference. And I said,
Good question.
the difference, we believe in God, but why is the difference? Well, I tell you, the people with the cross are Christians like ourselves. And I says, we believe God came down from heaven and walked among us. And Jewish people don't believe that. I said, they believe the Savior will be down, will eventually come. And he says, he looked at me and says, I don't think he came down. When I die, I want one of those on my... He liked the star.
Yeah.
I told that to a Jewish chaplain we had in the reserve. He liked that.
Oh,
he
yeah,
liked
you
that
can't
story.
blame him.
I said, you got a convert as soon as he's old enough. But anyway, I had a chance to see General Patton's grave. Then, and I was very privileged in being able to see General Patton's, what do you call it, his museum at Fort Knox. And I went to the Senior Olympics, Senior Olympics, in Louisville, and my nephew brought my best friend, my next brother, up from, he was in Arizona, brought him up from Arizona and brought my daughter and myself out. No, my daughter, I don't know if she went in that, no, she didn't go on that trip. I went for it. Brought me from out there. I went to, like I say, I participated in the Senior Olympics.
What was your specialty?
Racquetball.
Oh.
Oh, yes, indeedy. I got all kinds of gold medals and
spry old buck, huh?
Huh?
You're kind of a spry old buck.
Oh, I lasted. Like I say, the last time I played was I got a
2
here
years
in
ago.
Manchester,
Yeah.
85.
Oh.
I was the only person 85 and older.
So you're bound to get a medal.
I got my gold medal.
We had the same thing on the patrol. I was the oldest guy there, and the guy said, if you don't fall, you're going to take a medal home. You know, we get down the hill all right. Now, let's go back a bit. When the war was over and you went back home, what kind of a reception did you get? Do you remember?
Who, me?
Yeah, when you came back in the
Wonderful.
States.
Great. Let me tell you about my getting out of the service. I got out of service it was the day after New Year's Day, 1946. And I came home. Everybody's waiting at the train station for me. I bummed home from Fort Devens. I got a ride down that left me off right at the end of my street. There was two fellas that I knew, two kiddos, both passed away now, but they happened to be at the corner of the road. I got out of that car. Hey, gee, Joe.
Yeah. Where have you been?
And they're all down, a bunch of my guys that are all friends of mine. And so, and that's how I went, man. My poor mother. My mother raised us. My father passed away very early. He passed away, he was 53 years old, 1940. And you can realize that she had 8 kids.
That's a struggle.
And 3 of us. And she was a very proud woman, and she was a miracle woman, let's put it that way, and bringing us all up. And 3 of us went in the service. My other brother would have gone in the service, but he had flat feet, and they wouldn't take him. But we had to, we got a wonderful time but like I said, coming home, and then I was back into everything.
Yeah. Now, when you got home, did you take advantage of the GI Bill, the limit trade,
well,
go to school?
I eventually,
How about the 5220 Club? You remember?
Yeah, 5220 Club. I tell you, I did it for a while, and then I got scared because I was doing odd jobs. This other kid and I started doing odd jobs, mowing lawns and stuff like that. And I did.
You're going to get caught making extra bucks.
Yeah, somebody's going to say, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, so I did not do, I probably collected 2 checks, but I still was a little worried about it, that they didn't offer me any job, so what the heck, you know.
Money's
but
money.
anyway, let's, then I did go to school, though. I did finally, under the year, I went to Burdett College. It was I decided I was going to be an accountant, and I ended up being more interested in salesman, so I became a salesman. But I joined the National Guard, and this picture you have here.
Okay, I'll hold it up.
Yeah, that was taken in 1950 at the celebration of at our 275th anniversary of the Battle of Concord and Lexington. It was at and that's the Minuteman. That's myself right there in the honor guard for General Bradley. General Bradley was our guest of honor, and he was at that time he was chief of staff.
Are you counting cadence here? Your mouth's open.
I'm talking anyway.
Yeah.
I'm always talking. You know that.
I never would have thought of that.
You get me going, and I'll never end. So if there's anything in particular,
Well, no, I just.
wait, have I got my?
I don't know. You've been playing with it. Just leave it alone.
No, it's still down here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, here.
I don't hope it picked up some of this
Well,
stuff.
we'll find out real soon if it did. Let me see. I don't know how to do this, but yeah, you got to leave it alone.
I don't.
Okay, there. That may be working.
Okay. Oh, back. Well, I'm back in business. I
Okay.
hope.
Now, you studied to. You said you wanted to be an accountant, but you ended up in sales. What did you do? What was your territory?
Oh,
What
I
were you
started.
doing?
Well, I started selling.
Were you
I
married
sold
then, or you were
cars.
getting married?
No, I didn't get married for quite a while. I didn't get married till I was over 30 when I
An
got
old
married.
man.
Yeah, I was an old man when
Yeah.
I told you, I thought those 30-year-old people that I had in my outfit, I thought they were ancient. You
Yeah.
know?
Now you are one.
Now I'm ancient, and I mean I'm over the ancient part. But
Now-
that's the company I belonged to. That was the National Guard company at that time. Concord. It was Company H and 181st Infantry.
Now you're still active. What was your history in the Guard, in the National Guard?
I joined the Guard, and then I did 4 years, and I got out. Then one of my friends there, he's in that picture, by the way, he said, geez, he says, why don't you get a commission? And he gets you in the Guard and says, they need unit administrators. On each combat unit was going to have a unit administrator, and it was a warrant officer. The grade was going to give a warrant. Oh, so okay, I'll give it a try. So I joined the Guard again. I had a break in my service. In all, I had 39 years. I would have had 42 years if I had not got out twice.
Mm-hmm.
But here I am back in the Guard. I got my commission as a warrant officer, and then I was talked into switching over to the reserve, and I took a job as a AST, which was Army
Specialist training.
training.
Uh-huh.
And I worked, that was my civilian job, but I had to be in the unit to be able to go on. The job it required that you had to be a reservist and also work for them. So
Where was this located?
originally
Boston?
I was in the units that were in the Army base in Boston.
Okay, in South Boston?
South Boston. Oh yeah, I was there for quite some time. Oh, and then we moved out to Hanscom. Happy day. I had my racquetball every day, and then I really enjoyed it there. Then the unit in turn moved to Devens afterwards, but it wouldn't have made much difference because I lived in Acton. I was married. When I joined the Guard, the second time that's when I was a warrant officer when I got married. But
How about
anyway,
your family? Do you have any kids, youngsters?
me, I have two daughters.
And they live in the area?
One lives in Westford and one lives in here. The one
Okay.
and she has the boy, my
Oh, the son
grandson
that brought you in,
up
yeah.
here, and she has a daughter that's graduated cum laude from University of Hampshire, and she works at in Nashua at the I think it's the North High School.
Mm-hmm.
She's a instructs the with that.
A teacher?
No, she's not. She's a psychiatrist.
Oh?
So anyway, yeah. Anyway, the others, I have 5. My other daughter down in Westford had 4 boys and 1 girl. The girl's over in Korea right now.
Is she in the
She
service?
graduated from Northwestern.
Is she in the Army? The
No.
girl?
No,
Civilian?
She's teaching.
Oh, good.
She's and then there are 4 boys. My oldest grandson is a paramedic, EMS in Boston.
Good.
Yeah, he's an EMS in Boston. And next boy, he's the one I told you that told us which.
It was stars?
He liked the star.
Yeah.
Well, he graduated from Northwestern, and he's a teacher of German in Westford.
Uh-huh. Good.
His old alma mater. And then the other 2, one's is going to college down. He's a chef. He's learning how to be a chef.
Oh, Johnson Wales?
No, is it Johnson? I'm
Well,
not sure what the name of the school is.
I know, there's a dang many of them.
Yeah, I know. He's in it's a what do they call it, a chef school anyway.
Oh, good.
And then the other guy's just getting out of high school now.
Well,
so.
he's got a chance ahead of him. Now, I'm trying to think. Have you joined any veterans organizations?
Yeah.
Like DVW, AMVETS, DMBs, whatever?
No, I joined the Legion 3 times.
3 times?
Oh yeah, I joined them in Concord, Mass, when I first get out. Let it go. Then I joined out in Indianapolis. I was out at a school out in Fort Bend, Harrison, around the time 1963, and I joined. And when the president got shot, I was at Fort Bend, Harrison. And
civilian or
no, I was
reservist?
going to school. I was taking a course out there in finance, and then. Wait a minute. I lost my train there.
Oh, take your time.
Yeah. But, oh God, I really am lost.
Okay.
But anyway. Yeah,
Are you active in the Legion now?
Yes, well, oh yes, you asked me organizations. And then then I joined the Legion in Acton, transferred up here to Merrimack, so I belong to the Legion here in Merrimack.
Still active?
I don't know. I don't go. I know. Once I gave up my car, I haven't done anything.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. No, they still send me everything I've done. Last year, I always participate go down to the on Memorial Day. I certainly take.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of a badge of honor.
Veterans Day, yeah. Those I take part in, but that's all.
Now, let's take a peek. I'm going to hold that up because you keep fiddling with it.
Now, this is my headquarters. These are the different.
Okay, wait a minute. They can't see that in the camera.
Okay.
I'm going to hold this side. You grab the other corner.
Okay.
Hold it up and wide open.
This is
Wait a minute. Whoa, open it up.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing.
Okay.
This is 3rd Army headquarters at the final stage of the war. These are the corps that belong. At that time, was the biggest it ever was. Had the 3rd Corps, 20th Corps, 15th Corps, and this is the 12th Corps.
Now, what did you do with these people?
Now, I was attached at this headquarters we had small units. We had 3-man units, or 4-man, I should say, in each of these that we contacted all the time. And then we, in turn, got down to the divisions on the line. They had engineer units attached to them. They all had engineer units, and we were...
Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
Right. That's the that was at the end. Then Third Army became the Army of Occupation again. They were an Army of Occupation, by the way, in World War I, and they were an army. But I had left them at that time. I was back. We all went back. We all went back to Versailles. My units, all the units, and this picture in here. I don't know if
Here we go. We're going to pick a peek at that. Yes.
Oh, there's one big picture in here. Gotta find it.
This is loaded with history, folks.
Oh yeah. Oh, here it is.
Here it is.
Now this is a picture of a chow truck going from the place to the
Chow
hotel
truck?
that we were living.
A
We
six-pack?
were living in a hotel, and those are all the guys and from the various units that come back. These are just, there was probably some that weren't there, but I can tell you this guy appears very familiar. Familiar to me anyway. That's me,
Then he should be familiar.
and that's my truck.
That's
And
you.
that was our truck, and all the. This fellow right here is from Nashua.
Yeah, I was going to
was
ask you
from
about that.
Nashua. Now I don't know. I did keep an account, and I know who each one of them is and where they came from.
You ever get in touch with them?
Yeah. Oh, I kept in my, as far as keeping in touch with people. I have letters at home especially from one from the wives, and wrote to me afterwards, and I was invited by one. Thought I should go to school down in Brooklyn, New York. He was from Brooklyn. He came up and visited me one time. Another was out in Minneapolis, or out in that. They were quite interested. Oh, and the one thing went to move to California. She was very much interested in me coming out to visit them. But no, things just fade away. Sent Christmas cards for a while, got them,
Yeah.
then everything. But you got to realize those guys were 20 years older than me, and I realized that here I.
The numbers get real big all of a sudden,
Huh?
don't they?
So they certainly have been long gone. Now there's other, I don't have anything here. I have everything.
Oh, here, you had one you wanted to say was of your friend Patton.
Oh yes,
I'd
yes,
like to-
yes. Oh my God.
He's your buddy.
Oh yeah.
Take it slow.
God, I'm gonna be. Oh man. No, I'll never. I have a past that's better. There's something interesting. I'll find it. Come on. Well, what?
Oh, but permission to go see your brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was my best friend and everything. I said, and he to the end. That was the biggest thing he had. He used to everybody until we met. When we went down to see the veterans, the World War II Memorial in Washington,
Oh, yeah?
D.C., I was going to go. I was selected in one of those trips they have down there. I think
with Joe Byron?
Huh?
With Joe Byron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He took me.
well, wasn't that something?
Oh, God, yes.
Well, my daughter and my nephew are out there in Nashville. He's the one I told you that took me to the Patton Museum. He brought his father from Phoenix up here, up to Washington, and he brought my daughter and me down here from
Merrimack?
Manchester.
Yeah.
Down
That
to
other town
Washington.
up north.
And we went to the thing by ourselves, and we went and had our own trip. And by the way, when we were there, I have pictures of it. that we met a classmate. He was from Maine, up there. We got up the first. He was the superintendent of schools up there.
Whoops.
Retired, and he was in my class at a high school class, and he went in the Navy during World War II. He was on that trip down. They had one of those trips come down, and we met him at the Vietnam Memorial.
No, things have been kind of good.
And I remember a lady saying, "Oh, these two brothers met somebody that was in their class." And she's telling somebody else that, it was amazing, though. It was amazing. We had a wonderful time.
I wondered now, kind of wrapping it up a little bit.
Yeah.
With all the stuff that we couldn't look at and a few things we did see, do you have any words of wisdom or encouragement to some of the young guys and gals coming up today? Well, for example, do you feel that your service experience was positive or negative as far as how it got your life going?
Well, let me say this: it was a real awakening. The Army was a real awakening for me. I mean, I had no idea. I went through high school knowing I'm going to be a soldier.
Okay, you had a goal.
Because, well, at that time, you got to realize that 1941. What was I? A sophomore. I knew they were going to need soldiers, and so I think I kind of knew, but I never knew what I was going to find out about what guys did, bad things they did, good things they did. I mean, I learned all that in the Army, and I think I have a high praise for anybody that's in the service, and especially nowadays, I have nothing but good word. I just wonder how they can do it. I mean, I did it because I had to do it. They told me, hey, I got dragged right out of high school. Boom, I'm in the Army.
Yeah, but you did it.
I did it.
Yeah.
And some people used to complain all the time. I never complained. Never complained about lying on a bunch of tin cans in Southampton, England, waiting to get on
a boat
to go over to Normandy. I mean, never bothered me to live out things like going into. I always tell the time my combat was one I can remember was. We were going to some place where we had an engineer headquarters, and we wanted to get there so we could go through the stuff. Actually, we got in a tank column going into the thing. That's town, and we thought supposedly at headquarters, it was all done. It was open.
Excuse me, I have to wrap it up. I'm afraid that's the end of it, folks, but for those of you who are interested, please, if you will do a show or tell your story, get a hold of us. The address will be in the back here. We welcome you, and we'll do all we can to make sure that your story will be told. Thank you. Come back and see us.